This is going to be one shot, baby. Abe is forcing me to do 2 commercials in one, so that's what I'm going to do. 1, buy Chimera coffee because it's delicious and you feel great and you're in the zone. That's more than one reason. So type in the discount code. Abe, what is it?
showtheART. No spaces.
No spaces. Leave those at home. showtheART. No spaces. And then 2, we're coming at you with the inverted gear. So go cop that too, because it's fresh. You'll feel good, look good, and guess what's going to happen at the end? You perform better. Type in the code. Abe, that's you.
showtheART 15.
showtheART 15, 15, baby. Type in 15, not the word 15. All right?
Welcome to the showtheART podcast. Today, our guest is a brown belt in Jujitsu, Curtis Hembroff. Under the 10th Planet system, he is also one of the trainers at the Onnit Academy. Curtis, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here.
So what's going on? How are you, brother? It's good to hear from you.
It's great, man. It's been a crazy year at Onnit. Onnit's an amazing company doing big things. And so is 10th Planet. 10th Planet's a huge organization, a huge movement that's doing big things. So where those two meet has just been tremendous.
Nice, man.
10th Planet Austin's been amazing.
How did you get involved with 10th Planet first? And then we'll go into the Onnit thing. But how did you get involved with 10th Planet?
I had done some martial arts MMA fights in Alaska, where I was from, while I was in college. I graduated college and was originally doing some oil and gas work and then moved into nonprofit work.
Okay.
And when I was working in nonprofit, I was helping people start businesses and kind of follow their dreams. So I was having a lot of conversations with people like, what do you want to do with your life? You know,
Sure.
What makes you happy? And that always kind of tickled me a little bit. I always had this itch to further some martial arts aspirations that I never felt like I had kind of finished.
Okay.
And one day I just decided I'm going to quit my job and move to California. And I did. And I just happened to join the gym that Eddie Bravo was teaching at. I didn't really know who Eddie was. I wasn't hip to Jujitsu. That was just where I joined. It was called Legends MMA.
Okay.
And was fortunate to get a job working for Eddie, mopping the mats at the gym. And because of that, I had to take all the classes. He wanted the mats mopped before and after every single class. That became my life for a while. It was just mopping the mats, taking Jiu-Jitsu classes.
That's how it starts.
And then, I fell in love with the sport, and here I am.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's funny because me and Ames were just talking about this. We were trying to do some research on you. I only know you from social media. So when I finally booked you for the show and wanted to do some research, it was so hard to find anything on you because you're just a regular guy. And
Really? Because if you Google Curtis Hembroff, it's like I was in Cosmo. From Alaska.
Okay.
No big deal. He was on GQ.
Stuff in there.
Yeah. It's weird because I was in the Expendables 3 and I was we were just like, it was hard to find like a whole bunch of things didn't just pop up and explode in our faces on Google.
Yeah. So it's really cool because it's really getting to know you in this moment right now, which I find really interesting. Just hearing you coming from Alaska to California. It's when I first started, I'm more in the strength and conditioning field, and your story reminds me of myself because I interned. All I would do is mop up the mats. I would sleep in the coach's office, wake up, read, and just do the same thing over and over again.
Totally.
Yeah, man. I
eventually moved in. I moved into the gym eventually.
Yeah.
I lived at Legends. Ended up running the gym there. It was cool.
The same thing.
It was also home to B-Spun pole dancing. We had a pole dancing school, an MMA studio, and 10th Planet headquarters.
Wow.
No big deal.
So what brought you? You said you were an MMA fighter in Alaska, and I believe I saw that you had 4 fights on your record, right?
It depends on the
website.
What Sherdog had. Yeah. It's 4 or 5.
Sherdog said 4-0.
Yeah.
Undefeated.
I think technically it's 5, but
who's counting?
Come on, Abe.
I really didn't know much jiu-jitsu when I got started. I had some wrestling background. I grew up wrestling.
Okay.
So I was always good at staying in the top position, and I like to punch. So
Nice.
generally, most of the fights are like takedowns and some ground and pound with some sloppy top game control.
So when
and I love the competition, but it's not something I saw myself doing long term. You can't spar every day.
Yeah.
You can't do MMA sparring every day.
Yeah, that's
And
interesting
that's why I felt
because
like
when you got to California and you started training with, like, you fell into Eddie Bravo's school, right? You
got lucky.
You got lucky because you weren't a guard player, you weren't a bottom player guy, and the fact
I got choked out a bunch, man. Got guillotined over and over and over. Had that typical wrestler experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice. So how long were you training at his school before you decided to move out to Austin?
Well, I got to Legends MMA. Just a little side note on that. I still wanted to be an MMA fighter when I got there. The very first person I sparred, I remember, was Alan Juban.
Oh.
I had never been, just kicked apart. Like that guy kicked me apart. It was quite the eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
But that was in 2011, I think.
Okay.
And I trained under Eddie pretty much twice a day as much as I could until 2015 or so. There was a bit of a hiatus in there. Eddie moved schools for a little while. I took a job in North Dakota and was kind of like, almost thought I was going to stop doing martial arts for a little bit. But I came back and jumped right back on the train, or the horse, whatever you call it, and just train. And then 10 months ago, moved out here to Austin.
Nice.
Our grand opening was September 19th, 2015.
That's crazy.
So not too long ago.
Yeah. So, Curtis, how did that turn out? How did you become the director of Jiu-Jitsu at the Onnit Academy?
I have a fairly respectable resume.
Okay.
So I have some director level experience. But I'd also achieved a decent status within the 10th Planet system. I was a brown belt. I was at HQ. I've been working directly under Eddie. And being at HQ, there's a lot of black belts there. Great guys, great training and culture. But there's not a lot of room to develop a business in Jiu-Jitsu. In Southern California in general, it's very, very concentrated with really high quality Jiu-Jitsu. So I started looking, outside, opened my own school. I considered quite a few locations. Had my eyes on 10th Planet Las Vegas. But a good friend of mine, Casey Halstead, wanted to move out there, raise his family there. So I opted out of that, and it's kind of up in the air a little bit as far as where I was going to go and relocate. Was in Alaska doing some commercial fishing, saving money up for the potential move, wherever that might be. And during that time, Aubrey Marcus had taken some time to himself to kind of figure out which directions he wanted to go with the space that he had at the Onnit Academy. And he decided he wanted to open a 10th Planet. He called up Eddie Bravo, and I just happened to be on the mats training when he talked to Eddie. I remember Eddie getting a phone call, or actually getting a text maybe. He started asking me if I had a degree, all kinds of stuff, and I was wondering why is he asking these questions. And he's like, "Hey, do you know Aubrey Marcus?" I was, "Of course I do." He's like, "Would you be interested in opening 10th Planet?" I was like, "Obviously, Eddie."
Wow.
So I was literally interviewing at Onnit the next day.
Wow.
So within a matter of like 90 minutes, I was on the phone with Aubrey.
Wow. So you were in the right place at the right time.
That's great, man.
Yeah, but I also put in the work and had expressed the interest. You know what I mean?
Okay, of course, yeah.
Eddie knew I was looking. So
okay. So by that time,
worked out. But I was kind of getting worried. I was for sure wasn't sure how things were going to play out. I was almost about to just say, "Fuck it, I'll stay at HQ and just be the gatekeeper here."
Yeah,
interesting.
And, train here for a while.
Nice. So when you got out to Austin, it was just a basic job interview. Hey, what are your skills? What do you like to achieve?
Oh, no.
Was it
Onnit,
like
Onnit does not?
Yeah.
Onnit does not do basic job interviews.
That's what I was thinking. Most
of the job interviews at Onnit involve some kind of physical obstacle, whether that's 5 or 10 people or some kind of challenge. Aubrey's super creative guy, super smart guy, but he's going to test you in unique ways, and he wants to see what you're really made of. And I mean, you can get something out of sitting across the table from somebody and ask them questions, but Aubrey likes to take a way more visceral approach.
Yeah.
He wants to look you in the eye when you're really under pressure.
Nice.
So my interview consisted of me teaching like a kind of a long class, short workshop.
Okay.
To some of the Onnit pros, and then basically rolling against all of them. Oof. And Aubrey watching. So
no pressure.
It was a little intimidating, but
no
it was fun though. At the same time, I had yeah, exactly. But some people have had to sword fight. Some people have had other challenges. But
some people had to sword fight.
Bonus, if anyone out there ever expects to interview it on it will not be a traditional interview.
Yeah,
I mean. Expect to be asked what your weaknesses are. That's for sure.
Or to perform your weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not going to be normal.
Congrats on that, man. So, what's your day look like from say Monday morning you start? What does that usually entail of?
I set my own schedule,
okay.
And I made it so that it would be an absolute hell.
Nice.
And my first class is at 7 a.m.
Okay.
My second class is at 11 a.m. My third class is at 6 p.m. And my fourth class is at 7 p.m.
Oof.
So, and I do that 5 days a week.
Wow.
Nice.
And then I typically have a couple weight training sessions, or I wouldn't say weight training, I'd say some kind of conditioning sessions in there. Generally 2, usually 1 between each of the major blocks. I'm fortunate to have Onnit Academy, so there's a ton of really, really good coaches.
Yeah.
Masters in their crafts, and we have the best equipment, and obviously the best supplements too. So my day is super, super long. Lots of sessions, lots of training, but it's also well recovered, well maintained, and properly trained.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Having said that though, I'm definitely on the cusp, I think, of overtraining all the time. Trying to push that edge, see how far I can go with how many more reps can I put in the bank, how many more sets can I do, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that brings me to my next question. As someone who teaches martial arts classes on a regular basis, it gets a little tiring. And I'm looking at your schedule. You teaching 4 classes yourself every day. It's not a matter of how long you could do it, but will you ever have another instructor teaching with you or covering classes for you? What is the future
definitely
looking
was
like?
the plan. I originally had brought a buddy of mine, Junior Travis in Waza. He opted out of teaching here, so that put me in a situation where I'm doing it all.
Okay.
We did have kids classes, but for a while there, in addition to the schedule I currently have, I had a 4 p.m. kids class I was teaching.
Yeah.
But that just became too much. It was 25 classes a week.
Yeah. And
I just wasn't recovering. I was starting to get wore out. So the plan is to bring on additional coaching in the future. But right now, I'm just doing the bulk of the work, really trying to get the core group of guys that we originally are what's going to be our original team in a few years. The first guys that come through, get them up to speed. So my emphasis has been how fast can I instill the 10 planet system into a bunch of people who have never seen it before.
True.
I have a group of people that are mixed. Some people are purple belts. I have brown belts. I also have a whole bunch of people that are white belts.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to start a brand new school with really no one who knew the system that well to start with.
That's
so. I don't want to give it to anyone else right now, unless they were a 10 planet thoroughbred. I really need everyone to understand what we're trying to do as far as our system.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I totally agree with you because at the place that I work, it really is. It's our head coach. He had a 5 and 6 a.m., a 9 and 10, and then 4:30, 5:30, 6:45, 8 o'clock. That was his schedule. And it was all him for a while. And it was actually the same thing that you're saying. You want to make sure you instill that system and everyone understands what's going through. Because if you just bring someone along who doesn't fully get it, it goes from the top bottom. If there's a chink in the armor, it's going to fall apart sooner or later. Sure. So I think that's cool and commendable just because that shows great leadership. You know what I mean? It's just like leading the way. And then when people look back, like, man, if he could do all these classes and he was good, then I could do it. Because that's exactly what I'm thinking right now. Like with my coach, like, man, I'm tired, blah, blah, blah. But if my boss, Pete, if Pete could do it, I could do it too, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so,
he did all those classes. I can't be complaining about it.
Yeah, exactly, man.
3 classes.
Yeah, so it's definitely grind in the beginning, man, but that's what makes you appreciate everything. Like when you see like your gym, like 10th Planet Austin, like when it flourishes, you get to look back like, man, all that work I put in wasn't in vain. It was all worth it, you know? So
Sure. Good point.
Totally. And there's definitely moments when you're like, you start to question, what am I doing here?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Those are the things I remind myself. Those are definitely the things I remind myself.
Yeah, man.
And it's a huge benefit. If you teach that many classes, you're going to get really good at teaching.
Yeah, dude.
Your public speaking is going to get better. Your ability to captivate an audience, the ability to keep people entertained is only going to get better. So I look at it as money in the bank in those regards.
I agree.
I want to teach more seminars on the road. I want to do more public events in the future. So this is all reps in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. And I don't know if teaching helps you. I want to know what your opinion is, how teaching helps you, because it helps me in many different ways as far as getting more. I don't even want to say how it helps me. I just want to hear, how does teaching help you and your jiu-jitsu game? Not even your
I mean, I thought I knew our warm-ups. We have 10th Planet is very heavy on our warm-up system. Obviously, we have like things that we're known for, like the rubber guard game and so forth. But my goal out here has been to instill the warm-ups on the students here.
Okay.
And this is a system that Eddie's been working on the last few years. I was fortunate to be part of the warm-up development at HQ. And as you know, I've seen him struggle with teaching us and seen his success in teaching us. And I thought I knew the warm-ups really well. I thought I had like a grasp on them, and I was very, very confident. But after 9 months of teaching them, I really feel like I'm starting this different level of mastery.
Okay.
It's just just like anything else, where you thought you had a good grip on femoras, and then someone shows you something, or you do a much more than another level unlocks. And what it's done for me is it's just made my the transition seems so much faster to me. It seems like I can put things together easier. The pieces fall together so much easier having taught it.
Sure.
And taught it over and over and over and over again. And the nuances are clearer and clearer and clearer. So teaching it does. I could go on and on. Trust me. If you want to get better at jiu-jitsu, try teaching jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I was gonna say, when you say warm-ups, the 10th Planet warm-ups, what people don't realize that aren't familiar is you're not necessarily talking about warming up, but you're talking about what Eddie Bravo says warm-ups. It's just a series of techniques, one after the other, in a small system.
Yeah, it's like a choreographed scene.
Yeah.
And each warm-ups are part of a series. That series is part of like a theme. And it might be like standing passes, or top half passing, or butterfly sweeps.
It's a sequence, essentially.
And then from that core movement, you have a sequence of movements. And when you look at all the warm-ups combined, you have this massive playbook, massive flow chart of moves. Yeah. And the more you understand them, the more you see how they all intersect, how they all intertwine, and how they give you options at pretty much any intersection or any point in the game. You could jump on a warm-up flow and take it to a submission or to another position to start another warm-up flow.
Sure.
So it's crazy the web they create. And that's what I'm saying. That's what teaching has done for me. It just shows me how well they all connect.
Yeah. When I was thinking about the warm-ups, because, again, I do a lot of research. I'm always looking at, again, how to teach my students better. And when I was looking at the warm-ups, I was trying to put pros and cons to it. Like, if I'm going to start teaching more of that style, I want to put it on paper and see why it could be good, but also why it could be bad. And what I see is what you're just saying. Those teaching a lot of sequences, 3 or 4 moves, 5 moves in a row as a sequence, could be very good because it teaches your students how to not let up and how to keep going with technique after technique after technique, and kind of not being complacent in your game while you're rolling. So I think that's very good. It's a good, and it also gives them new creativity realms that they hadn't thought of yet. Hey, look, you can go from here to there. You can connect this dot with that dot. You didn't think of it before, but now you do. And it floods them with a lot of information. What do you think are some cons that can go along with teaching a lot of warm-ups like that?
I mean, if you showed someone how to play a song on a guitar
Mm-hmm.
who wasn't really good at playing the individual notes, it would sound shitty. But you would get it. You'd be like, oh, that's that song. It doesn't sound that great.
Yeah.
So then you need to go back and say, hey, you need to refine that note a little bit and play, and then the song will sound better.
I see.
And that's kind of like how I see Jiu-Jitsu. I see Jiu-Jitsu a lot like Matt Orlish sees Jiu-Jitsu, in that we have a lot of notes, and what we're trying to do is create music. And you could teach someone to be really good at playing individual notes, have super sharp notes, but if they never figure out how to put them together, they never really make pretty songs.
That's dope.
Okay.
And conversely, you can kind of teach a song to someone, but if they don't refine their individual notes, their individual pieces of that song, you're gonna recognize the song kind of, but you're like, man, that's not how it goes. And
Nice,
then you need
man.
to tighten this up here.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the way it works with us too. If you show someone these flow sequences, but you never take the time to show them pressure, then their note's gonna sound a little funny.
Yeah.
They're not pushing on the chord right. Yeah. But if you take the time to show them the flows, then you go back and say, hey, man, this is where we need to work on today. Guys all kind of look a little loose here. This note's a little off here.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can kind of even out the pros and cons of that style.
And that's what
So that's how I look at it.
That's a great way to look at it. And that's what I was thinking, like, teaching a lot of these warm-ups, it really comes down, the cons really come down to good coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're teaching a lot of warm-ups, I think that's great, especially when thinking in a scramble situation while you're rolling. But what it can do is make the student forget that at some point you do want to maintain control and you want to put pressure, and I don't necessarily want the person to get out of side control, or I don't want to have to take a big chance and go from this dot to that dot. But that's where the coaching comes in and saying, hey, this is a good time to put a lot of pressure. This position is way more valuable than taking this big chance. That's where the coaching comes in, right?
100%. 100%. There's some movements and some flows that I'll teach, and I'll say, hey, look, this is not the recommended movement here. You have the back. Just stay on the back. Finish the choke here if this is the match. However, you want to do this cool transition, check this out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You just kind of have to forewarn people.
Sure.
But one of the pros that I think I see a huge benefit from is the fun factor. And having opened a new school and teaching a lot of people that have never done jiu-jitsu. I do a lot of outreach, make moves into the yoga market. There's people I feel that would love jiu-jitsu, they just don't know that they would love jiu-jitsu yet.
Yeah.
So a lot of people I'm trying to teach are first timers. And if you just are showing them little tiny pieces of hold, squeeze, a lot of people lose interest at those.
Mm-hmm.
However, when they feel like they're moving and having success and flowing through a sequence, the fun factor goes way up.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that the engagement gets higher. People have a lot more fun when they get to say, hey, I can actually do this flow. I saw the coach do it and demonstrated it. It looked damn near impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And an hour later, I could do it.
Nice.
And that kind of like sells them like coming back. And that's when you can really start teaching them a little more about the pressure, a little more about the control, a little more about the notes. And granted, some people love that stuff right out the gate. They love the heavy pressure, heavy control.
Mm-hmm.
But just from my experience, I find that people have a lot of fun when there's a lot more movement involved.
True. Yeah. And
when they win.
Thanks for saying that. That's important to point out. And to all the people that have students, like, we do at the end of the day want to teach very good techniques, and we do want our students to become as good as possible. But we're all human. A fun factor needs to exist, something to keep people engaged and wanting more and to enjoy their time there. And I think what you're saying is perfect, because we all, at the end of the day, we have to get back to that. We have to make sure that is still there. And one thing I wanted to point out too is a lot of people say, oh, I only want to learn the high percentage techniques. I think it's very important to learn these funky low percentage techniques with a realistic mindset that they're low percentage, but the coordination you build, the creativity you build from drilling those moves, from practicing those sequences, I think that's so important for coordination. And we should be able to do everything. You got to practice everything if you want to get good at everything, right?
Furthermore, the techniques that are low percentage are typically when people don't train that much. That's why they're low percentage.
Sure.
I know some techniques that are low percentage for a lot of people that are high percentage for some people because they're fucking really good at it.
True.
So versus I've seen some people who just can't armbar anybody. They're just shitty at armbars.
Yeah.
But so I think it's just relative to where you water the grass, how green it's going to be. But again, I agree with what you're saying. If you don't give people variety, they get a little bit bored. If you have, my experience is, if you stick to the super old school traditional, you're going to have pretty much the same people who've always done jiu-jitsu. If you want to grow the market in jiu-jitsu and expose people to it that maybe have never done it before, that maybe are more inclined to do yoga and rock climbing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think the flow stuff and the movement stuff is a little more appealing to them.
It's true.
Yeah,
my 2 cents on that, man.
And I like that a lot. And one thing we want this podcast to be is educational. And if somebody that's listening, that's a teacher somewhere out there, can get something out of this, is try more sequences when you're teaching. It's so easy to fall into like the rut of just teaching one technique that day or 2 techniques that day, and like getting really in depth on that one thing. But it's important that we teach more than just the one thing, because people could get bored. And all the points that you had mentioned about drilling these warm-up, these sequences of moves, it keeps the fun factor. It keeps people moving. It keeps their brains thinking. And it also, I was...
Totally.
Yeah, go.
Totally. Don't underestimate your students' abilities, man. I'll give you an example. I have a student who's no longer with me. She's in Israel. Her name's Rose Faraday. When she started at 10th Planet Austin, she'd never done jiu-jitsu before. She had never really been an athlete before.
Okay.
Totally new to the sport. And she can do the entire 10th Planet warm-up series pretty much by heart now.
Nice.
I've had people can come in and never have done jiu-jitsu and hit the 10th Planet warm-up series and find themselves completing a whole flow sequence in their first class.
Nice.
They may not completely understand it. They may have pressure wrong in the wrong places, but they feel tremendously successful.
Yeah.
So I don't underestimate a new student's abilities. Don't think that you can't teach a first timer a rolling Kimura to the back, because that's not traditional. I understand. Why would you teach someone their first jiu-jitsu a rolling Kimura to the back? Because they'll have a fucking blast. And they'll be like, dude, I did a rolling Kimura to the back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then later on, you could teach them side control pressure, you know what I mean? Shoulder pressure in the jaw. If you show people that on the first day, they're going to be like, nah, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah.
But if you make them feel successful, athletic, and like, man, this is pretty cool shit, they tend to come back.
Good point. And
don't underestimate the talent.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, we get all those things from live sparring, from rolling, but a new student doesn't know much. So how do you get their confidence from landing a move on somebody when they don't know how to do that stuff yet? Those sequences, like you just said, if they're doing a move or 3 moves in a row in a sequence and they got that success, they don't even need to grapple that day and gain the success from landing a sweep or a pass. Like it's another version for a new student to gain success. I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's super important. And a good point about don't underestimate your students' power of learning capabilities. You'd be surprised, right?
No, yeah, you could be super surprised. And have high expectations. At the same time, obviously, you don't want to rush people into shit, but don't think that if you watch the 10th Planet warm-ups, you go in Google or YouTube 10th Planet warm-ups, it's going to seem like a lot of stuff. You're like, man, they're moving into a leg attack from a full guard. It's a lot of stuff to explain. But if you can get people to kind of move through the sequences, then you can always sharpen it down. Stuff. I mean, you can liken it to music. I also use the analogy of a bike. If you can get a bike kind of together, it'll kind of roll down a hill. It may be wobbly and falling apart, but you can always tighten it up later on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
that's what I'm saying with this. So you'll see you'll see people they'll make it through the sequence, but they fuck up on a couple spots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now,
that's fine.
My next question is about self-defense, and I'm a big proponent of come in, train jiu-jitsu, just train. Don't worry about this, about whether you're teaching self-defense or sport jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't put too much stock into that. But my curiousness comes when somebody comes into your school and their reason for signing up to jiu-jitsu is a self-defense reason. Is your approach different?
I typically keep my classes light and fun no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely don't take that, hey, imagine yourself being attacked in a dark alley. I don't like to create that mindset from the beginning. So our mindset is, we're fun, we're having a good time. But the person we're rolling against is always trying to kill us.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Keep that in mind. We always kind of have that light humor component to it. And that the person trying to kill us is also really good at jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which makes a big difference.
We assume that this person is maybe going to, do some crazy back take while they try to kill us. But as far as like a self-defense mindset, if someone was saying, hey, I want to learn jiu-jitsu from a self-defense, my mindset is just going to be try to have a lot of fun while you're here. Don't make this about self-defense. Make this about having a good time. Make this about like a game that you're playing that gives you a challenge, challenges you to learn new ways of thinking, new ways of moving, that kind of thing. Take the anger or negative connotation out of it. And also, this is probably not the best thing for self-defense. This is not what I recommend you initially doing is engaging in a jiu-jitsu battle if you're getting into a self-defense situation. If you talk to my professor, Eddie, he'll tell you the same thing. Kick him in the nuts, gouge him in the eyes.
Yeah.
Punch him in the throat.
Yeah.
But don't pull guard. You know what I'm saying?
True,
Don't play that game. However, as we've told the sheriffs of LA County when we taught them, that jiu-jitsu is an excellent workout to support your physical preparedness in the event you are attacked.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
good point.
It's something awesome to have in your back pocket if an assailant jumped on your back one day and tried to attack you. Suddenly you have sweeps. Suddenly you have all kinds of counters. You know what I mean? So I look at it as it's not if you're trying to sharpen up your self-defense game overnight, 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu is not probably the number one thing you should do.
Sure.
If you want to get in better shape and improve your physical preparedness in the event you get in a fight that you have to engage, and take up Jiu-Jitsu, man. But also take up Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And then maybe if you're really worried about specific attack type scenarios, then obviously look at Krav Maga and, focus on the nut shots and the eye gouging, the fish hooking, and all the nasty shit.
Yeah. I think it comes...
Because honestly, my school is not like that. I definitely don't overemphasize heavy forearms in the face, heavy elbow gouging. We're kind of more of a polite school.
Yeah. I think it comes down to more, again, coaching and telling your students, listen, there are certain things that we're going to teach you in jiu-jitsu that are not applicable if somebody is attacking you. You should, going back to the rolling Kimura, it's probably not a good idea to go for a rolling Kimura on the concrete. But you want to keep the right mentality. Like, there are some applicable things. There's many applicable things. And in jiu-jitsu, especially if you've been training for a while and you have the movement and the mobility and the understanding of how to control someone on the ground, you want to be able to just turn that mindset on. Forget about the technique, it's the mindset. If somebody grabs you, training a lot of jiu-jitsu, you gotta know. You should know by then to put your weight a certain way.
Get yourself out of a bad position.
Yeah. So I think
instinctively get out of that spot.
Yeah, I think it's important that we tell the students that you have to be aware and be ready just in case. But it's really just a mindset shift. There's a lot of things that will come out instinctively if somebody ever tries to attack you. But you also have to be realistic and to know what moves you should not go for, what is important. Because some people just don't realize. Some people are a little oblivious and might pull guard in a street fight. So I think it's important that the coach says, at least tells everybody the obvious. Like, hey, listen, these are the things you should stay away from in a street fight. Don't pull guard. Now, if you trip over somebody...
honestly, I even make clarifications between tournaments. I'll say things like, well, if you're in an IBJJF tournament right here, if you get swept, you're not turning to your butt to face your opponent. You're jumping right back to your feet and trying to stay on your feet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If this is EDI, fuck it. Turn around, reface them, look for the submission. You know what I mean? If you get swept, don't sweat it. You're looking for the submission.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you always need to understand the context place you're in, whether it's the streets, you know what I'm saying, open mats, or EDI or ADCC, you know what I'm saying?
No, that's a good point. You got to understand the context of rules, what's going on, what structure are we in, and we have to abide by that structure and respect that structure. And there's no shame in that. You just have to, again, be aware of that. That's so important.
I mean, if you roll out of 10 Planet School, for the most part, I'm not speaking on behalf of all of them, but if you go to 10 Planet HQ, my school, it's fair game with foot locks and heel hooks.
Okay.
My students know not to apply strong heel hooks. They hold the position and, you know, look you in the eye and say, "I got you, sucker." But it's fair. It's fair game across the board.
Nice.
Obviously, you go to some schools, you'll see it on the board, on the wall when you walk in. No heel hooks.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think that's just a stigma that's been around for a long time that is finally going away. And me speaking for myself, someone who trains in the gi and without the gi, I love both. And I've trained at 10th Planet schools. I've trained at all different types of schools, and someone who didn't really touch on leg locks for a long time, but I am getting into it now, very much so. But I think it's just a stigma for a long time from a long-standing tradition that is finally going away because of its effectiveness in competition. So I think in a year's time, maybe 2 years' time, that stigma is going to be gone. You know, everybody is going to be, that's going to be fair game with everybody, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, totally. You're going to have to adapt or die in this situation.
True.
So true, man.
If you don't adapt, you're just going to die.
Yeah.
And
You'll
the
fade
schools
away.
that want to hold on to it, eventually their students are going to question them to the point where they're going to realize they're false and they'll die.
Nice, man. So,
yeah,
man. Just to get away from things, just because you're busy, you have that, you train and then you train some more. Are there any things you like to do just to kind of get away from things, like your downtime, like meditate or play a sport or play video games or anything like that?
Austin's really fortunate to have lots of cool outdoor activities.
Yeah.
So I try to do my best to get like down to our springs and swim as much as I can.
Nice.
But having said that, the most valuable thing in my life is sleep.
Okay.
I really try to get a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
I try to squeeze in naps when I can. When I get home, I'm so tired. I pass out super fast.
Yeah. What time do you usually knock
most
out?
Most times during the day, I could just sleep at any point. Whenever where I'm at, I just fall asleep.
Yeah, man.
So that's usually my hobby.
I think that's a coach or a trainer's best friend is sleep. Anytime you can get it.
I love me some sleep.
Yeah, exactly, man. Sleep and coffee all day.
Yeah, man. I'm back and forth on the coffee. Sometimes I enjoy it, but then I realize I can't be on caffeine too much.
Okay.
I just cycle on and off that stuff.
I get you.
What's your cycle like?
I know the feeling.
Do you cycle off for like a week or a few days or 2 weeks?
2 months.
No.
I'm probably off coffee more than I'm on coffee, honestly.
Okay.
Because I like it. Because I like to nap.
I see.
So if I drink coffee, it can kind of disrupt my naps. And then by the end of the day, I'm really, really tired.
Yeah, yeah.
So honestly, not to overly plug on it, man. I really like our pre-workout T+. It doesn't have any stimulants in it.
Okay.
I like our Shroom Tech because it doesn't have any stimulants. And I like our Alpha Brain because it doesn't have any stimulants.
Nice.
All those make me feel really alert, real energetic. But when I want to go to sleep, I still can.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Good point.
Problem with the coffee, if I do like butter coffee or coconut coffie, it just has a lingering effect where it's just enough to keep me awake.
Yeah.
So being that I value sleep so much, yeah.
I really like Shroom Tech. Shroom Tech is really good, man. That's one of the few supplements like for performance that I've actually felt. Like obviously not considering the stimulant ones, but like the stimulant free supplements.
Yeah.
Shroom Tech is
one
of the
few. And when you say feel, it's not the same feel. People don't understand.
Yeah.
You don't feel it like you feel a stimulant. You feel it after you've been working. And you're like, man, I feel fantastic.
Yeah, you know,
like I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 2 hours and my heart rate's not overly elevated. I'm not gasping for air. I just feel freaking awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
like you take notice midway through practice, and you're like, oh wow, I'm still going. I'm fine.
You put me on shroom. Oh, Shroom Tech.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so thank you. It's pretty clutch, man.
It's
being
legit,
being
man.
at that academy because you have
Super
like
legit.
you got everything there. If you want to weight train, you got something. You got jujitsu, you got something. Supplement, you got it. It's we got to visit over there, man.
Yeah.
We really got to go over there.
It's truly becoming, I think, a destination facility. We're making some moves towards our striking program as well, so you're going to see some
nice
developments in the Onnit Academy striking. So we're going to have total services, total package there as far as what we offer potential athletes, and in particular, mixed martial arts athletes.
Yeah, man.
I have a really good spot for people to come. And just to add another plug, this weekend we have Olympian Lee Kemp coming to teach a wrestling workshop at Onnit Academy.
Nice.
He's one of the few people who did Dan Gable in college, so I'm excited for that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
3-time NCAA champ, absolute badass.
No big
that's
deal.
What we're trying to do at the Onnit Academy is bring in the best talent and just source all the best stuff there.
Yeah, man.
That's what we do with our supplements. That's what we do with the training. That's what we want to do with the grappling, the striking, etc.
Yeah, just raising the bar, right?
Getting better.
Yeah, man. But before we head out, just one more question. Like, what are your future plans, or where do you see yourself like within the next like 5 to 10 years? Do you see yourself still at the Onnit Academy, or like branching out back to Alaska, or what do you see yourself doing?
My long-term ambition is, ever since I was a little kid, has always been political. I always saw my end game of my life being in politics, because I feel like that's not because I want to be in politics, but ultimately that's where you can have the greatest influence.
True.
And there's a lot of things I'd like to change in my home state of Alaska.
Okay.
There's a lot of things I'd like to change in America and in the world.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of common sense things I think we all agree on, that for some reason the powers that be are just kind of keeping out of the reach of the people.
Yeah.
Not to get too political, but it's just crazy what the world's become in my short 37 years. It's been fucking unbelievable to see that.
No, I'm with you with that, man.
I mean, this presidential election now is retarded.
For example,
yeah.
everything going on right now, man.
So my ambition is to have the greatest impact I can with as many people as possible positively, and I feel like Jiu-Jitsu is going to help me do that.
Nice.
And I want to take that as far as I can in Texas, as far as I can in my home state of Alaska, as far as I can with 10th Planet, and then eventually move into local and state politics.
Awesome, man.
And, continue service to mankind, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, cool, man.
Awesome.
It's that's like a running theme with everyone that we have on. It's just serving the people and just giving back to everyone and just helping out one another, right? So props to you, man, and
Totally.
good luck with all the things that you have planned, man. I hope you reach all your goals.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Abe and Ames, you guys have been awesome, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Do you want to plug anybody besides Onnit? Definitely plug Chris.
Yeah, or where we could reach you at if anyone wants to
Mr.
get
Christian
into contact.
Valencia, hit me up I'm Curtis at Onnit if anyone wants to email me.
Okay.
Obviously the Onnit Academy, and we all have on-demand channels if you want to, watch 10th Planet Austin online. Check us out, on-demand.Onnit Academy.
Mm-hmm.
But all fucking glory to Eddie Bravo.
Yeah.
He put me in this place. He gave me the opportunity. Thank him so much.
Yes.
And dude, my man Aubrey Marcus, man, he's fucking helped out so many people. He's helped out me tremendously. Thank you so much, man. No, dude, just come see me at 10th Planet Austin.
Definitely.
I'd love
brother.
for everyone to come visit. It's a really cool spot.
Yeah, man.
Awesome,
We
man.
definitely got to get up with you
Yeah.
and Christian, man.
We will, man.
Yeah.
Curtis, you mean?
No, cool. We're talking to Curtis, brother. We're talking. Meet up with Christian.
Oh,
Sorry about that,
Dude,
man.
there's so many good guys there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Christian, Jake, Juan, the whole squad, dude.
Yeah,
Great
man,
guys at
definitely.
Onnit Academy.
All right,
yeah.
dude. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate you coming on the show. And like my aim said, good luck on everything. And we hope to not only talk to you soon, but see you soon. We hope to come through to
Dinner.
Austin, train at the Onnit Academy,
And
have a
learn.
little sport vacation.
There you
and,
go, yeah.
meet all you cool people.
Let's do it, man. See you guys soon.
Hey,
All right,
take
man.
care, man.
Happy for life. Later.
All right, peace.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.
And as always, if you guys
Enjoy that bad boy.
if you like this podcast, please
Those knowledge bombs.
on iTunes subscribe.
Rate.
If you can rate, leave a nice review, give a 5-star rating.
Yeah.
That helps a lot on iTunes.
It does go. It goes a long way, guys.
It really does. And check us out. We're also on YouTube. Unless you're listening to it on YouTube, then you're good. You're golden. But comment on YouTube. Just even like a smiley face.
Yeah,
just put a smiley face.
That
helps
does make our day, guys.
It makes my day.
Definitely makes mine too.
Help me, please. Leave a good review. But yeah, guys, please do that. Also, subscribe to our newsletter. Each month, we're giving away some free gear just by being a subscriber on our newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to our website, blog section, there's a link up there. Also, if you go to Facebook, on our Facebook page, we have a link for our newsletter there. Just subscribe. We're doing monthly giveaways. We're going to be doing contests. And if you're listening to this, we hope to hear you listen to us soon.
Cut this. Too long.